approaches to that upper landing pad for crew to egress the vehicle. After that freshwater wash down of the hatch area, we're seeing some final wipe downs as well. For those with a keen eye as well, you could see on the side of Grace, as it was making its approach towards the upper landing, the Axiom logo proudly displayed on the spacecraft. We had some great shots during the docking footage of SpaceX, Axiom, making a beautiful image of the vehicle docked to the International Space Station. It's a little worn.
A little toasty.
A little toasty. All part of nominal ops, though.
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit will do that.
Dragon, SpaceX, standby for side hatch opening and egress of some smiling faces.
Here we go.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
They are just about to open that side hatch, and again, first person that'll greet the crew will be the medical officer.
The hatch is open, and ground crews are making first contact with the Axiom 4 crew.
And you see that square-looking tool. That's just a protector for the hatch seal for while the crew egresses. This is a reusable vehicle, so we are protecting both the crew as well as the spacecraft, making sure there's no damage that happens and that the crew doesn't bump their head on anything on the spacecraft. Looks like we're getting, the crew's getting some first photos.
Yep. That's a good sign that they had good initial comms with medical personnel So this time we are now if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the Ax-4 crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft, also known as Grace, as part of the conclusion of their more than 20-day mission to the International Space Station.
You can see the crew is handing some of their cargo. That looks like their tablets that they use throughout their mission.
Making it a little easier for crew to make their way out of the spacecraft as well.
Looks like they just removed the footrests. Gives the crew some space to get out of their seats while they are exiting the vehicle.
Now getting some great internal views of the Ax-4 crew and their
Yes.
spacecraft.
I already saw some big smiles
Yep.
as people we've all been saying.
As we wait for the Ax-4 crew to egress the vehicle, you can see ground crew is still putting in aspects of I'm not going to call it rigging, but hardware to help the crew get out of the spacecraft more easily. Reminder that they've been in microgravity for a little over 20 days, and occasionally your first few steps back on Earth can be slightly challenging.
It's a little different in microgravity than dealing with the gravity here on Earth. Just now joining us, we are waiting for the Ax-4 crew to exit the Dragon spacecraft Grace. Peggy, Shooks, Suave, and Tibor are at the end of their Axiom Mission 4. After 20 days in space, 18 on board the International Space Station. 18 days.
And now this wraps up a very significant portion of the mission, but it's not entirely over. We still have a few medical checks to go. And then in addition to that, the Ax-4, all the research done on the Ax-4 mission is all going to be in a world of post-processing, analysis, assessment, and that's all part of it, as well as crew debriefs. So, following after crew egresses the spacecraft and gets good medical checks, at that point we'll be getting the crew back home and then continuing the final, we'll call it terrestrial-based operations of the
That's
Ax-4
right.
mission.
I guess it's more of the end of the space-facing portion of the mission.
Operational phases. Right. We're still going to take our time to get there. You can see ground crews are still working with the crew members and hardware inside. They've established some ground support equipment to help in the aid of the Ax-4 crew getting out of the spacecraft.
And some of their aids are not too complex. That white platform that you see there is essentially a slide.
Yeah. But an important one.
A very important slide.
But in addition to that slide, we do have, there's a complex tool that you mentioned earlier, Jesse, about protecting the seals. We can see now crew looking to make, the first crew members looking to make their egress from spacecraft along that slide.
Sliding out.
And there she is. We see Commander Peggy Whitson, all smiles, exiting the spacecraft Grace. That is a beautiful sight. Peggy Whitson, the Ax-4 commander, is home, having logged 695 days in space on 5 flights. She is the 7th on the all-time list for most days in space by a human. It's an incredible feat.
Legendary. So far, we've had Commander Peggy Whitson exit the Dragon spacecraft. We are waiting for the remaining 3 crew members of the Ax-4 crew. There's no real order to the egress. It's really up to the crew. So we're patiently waiting to see who's up next.
Right. If Peggy is in the indication, which I think she is for this particular crew, we'll see another big smile coming out of the Dragon spacecraft in a moment.
And we've got our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla, as our second crew member exiting the spacecraft. And some big smiles, as you said. India reached a major milestone for the nation's space exploration goals. Ax-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla became the first astronaut to fly from the country's newly established astronaut corps. His participation marks a vital step forward for ISRO's Gaganyaan program, which aims to send Indian astronauts into space aboard domestically developed spacecraft. Shukla's flight demonstrates India's readiness to execute international missions and reflects the country's broader ambitions to become a key player in the global space community. As India continues to expand its capabilities in crewed spaceflight, this mission serves as both a proving ground and a symbol of its commitment to innovation, collaboration, and leadership in space exploration.
At this time, we are waiting for the mission specialists of the Ax-4 mission, Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland and Tibor Kapu of Hungary, to now egress the Dragon spacecraft. We have our third crew member now egressing the vehicle. And there is Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland. Sław is all smiles for this, which I love to see. Now, Poland's participation in the Ax-4 mission through the Ignis program marked a pivotal step in the country's growing role in space exploration. Astronaut Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski, flying in partnership with the European Space Agency, led a research agenda focused on some of the most pressing challenges in human spaceflight: mental health, artificial intelligence, and radiation monitoring. These areas are critical not only for ensuring astronaut well-being on long-duration missions, but also for enabling safe and sustainable exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The Ignis mission reflects Poland's strategic investment in cutting-edge science and its ambition to contribute meaningfully to the future of deep space travel. It also signals a broader shift in Europe's space landscape, where emerging space nations are taking on increasingly vital roles in shaping the next era of exploration. And based on that smile, I'd say Sław felt like he had a very successful mission.
3 or 4 crew members have exited the Dragon spacecraft. We're now just waiting for the final crew member, Tibor, to exit the spacecraft here. And last but not least, mission specialist Tibor Kapu. Hungary marked a significant milestone in its space ambitions with the Ax-4 mission, as astronaut Tibor Kapu became the first Hungarian to reach the International Space Station, and all smiles from him there. His participation under the banner of the Hunor Hungarian to Orbit program represents Hungary's commitment to advancing its role in international space exploration. This mission signifies the country's return to human spaceflight after decades and highlights its strategic investment in science, technology, and innovation.
And Jesse, it was wonderful seeing Tibor's smiles and waves and high fives. You knew how important this mission was to the crew as they were prepping for it and throughout the mission. And seeing them be able to egress with the same smiles that they went into the capsule with, or into the spacecraft with. Well, at this point, the crew is now safely back home on Earth.
Yeah. Now that our crew are safely back home on Earth and getting the first checks by SpaceX and Axiom space medical teams, we're going to wrap up our live coverage of their historic return. Ax-4 lifted off from Launch Complex, from Launch Pad 39A at 2:31 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, June 25th, and arrived at station on Thursday, June 26th. They spent about 20 days in space and 18 of those days on the International Space Station before undocking yesterday. And then this morning at 2:31 a.m. Pacific Time, they splashed down off the coast of San Diego, California. What an amazing journey it's been for them so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. And Jesse, it's been fantastic again sharing the desk with you. Thank you so much for joining me on this, and I'm glad we got to spend this time together. But now this cruise entire trip is home, we're ready to move on to the next phase of the mission. So to SpaceX, thank you for an incredible flight and taking such great care of our crew. To NASA, the International Space Station partners, and the Expedition 73 crew, thank you for helping make the efforts of the Ax-4 mission possible. We're really looking forward to collaborating with everyone again soon. And a special thank you to ISRO, ESA, and Hunor for entrusting us with this mission. And to all of you watching at home, it's been an honor and a privilege to share the journey of Peggy, Shooks, Suave, and Tibor to space and back again. So as we bring this mission to a close, we celebrate how the Ax-4 mission continues to demonstrate that the opportunities presented in microgravity have now grown to include more countries, more institutions, industries, and individuals than ever before. Through missions like this, we're redefining the pathway to low Earth orbit and building for beyond. So be sure to check out axiomspace.com to learn more about flight opportunities available along our journey to the world's first commercial space station. I'm John Rackham, and we're now signing off with a final welcome home to the crew of Ax-4.
And I'm Jesse Anderson. Thanks to everyone for joining us on another successful mission to the International Space Station. Check out spacex.com/launches for updates and for the schedule of upcoming missions. And be sure to follow @SpaceX on X. And that'll do us for us here in Hawthorne. We'll see you on the next mission.
Welcome home.
अरे आजकल कोई पोस्ट नहीं कर रही हो तुम?
बिग प्रॉब्लम है, पहले सफेद बाल आ गए।
ये तो 15 रुपए वाली प्रॉब्लम है।
गोदरेज एक्सपर्ट रिच क्रीम मिनी पैक
15 रुपए में।
इसका 10 गुना एलोवेरा आपकी सफेद बालों की करे देखभाल और बाल दिखे सॉफ्ट एंड शाइनी।
वाह, लाखों लाइक सिर्फ 15 रुपए में।
गोदरेज एक्सपर्ट।
No experience in data science, no jobs in data science. Not true. Open doors to data science roles with this session. Explore how data science, analytics, and machine learning connect and the skills needed to enter each field. We'll also talk about the long-term roadmap in this evolving landscape and why crash courses and boot camps just don't cut it. Scalar's structured program is built to truly prepare you for real-world careers. Start your growth journey today. Register now for free.
Engineering and technology, but to the nation at large, has been tremendous. My association with him now for nearly a decade has been stupendous. And I'll tell you that in very, very difficult times, he had held our hand and has continued to guide and give us a lot of comfort and a lot of support. Esteemed members of the Senate, members of the staff, graduating students and their families, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I really feel honored and delighted to be here at this hallowed institution of a great reputation, which has got the first of many kinds to its credit, whose contribution, whose pioneership, whose new initiatives has been of a great value to this nation. I must say that to be here on this very solemn occasion is a matter of great privilege for me. I also take this opportunity to congratulate all the young graduates the most fortunate ones, the one in the history of this nation, which I'll tell you why. That why you are the most fortunate generation in last 1,000 years of India's history. And once again, I'm also grateful to the director who invited me here. Gentlemen, firstly, you should all be very proud that you belong to an institution of which tomorrow you will be the alma mater, the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which has produced 48,000 graduates like you who have served the nation and has made a great name for themselves and for the country. What you have achieved is great. You have proven intelligence, dexterity, commitment, by which you have been able to achieve, which very few in this country aspire and are able to achieve it as a reality. You also have got a great future ahead. There is no doubt about it. The world is before you to succeed. The point is whether you will be able to intertwine your growth and progress with something beyond you. Will you be able to contribute to the society, to the country, to the civilization to which you owe a lot? When Director Kamakoti asked me to be here, obviously I was quite reluctant. I never make public appearances. As Dr. Goenka just told me before I entered here, he said it's the first time I'm seeing you anywhere in a public platform in last 7 years. I don't know when was it that it was the last 7 years. But normally I never go. But firstly, my respect for Professor Kamakoti is one thing. But secondly, I had a very small message to give you. And I thought that I will take this opportunity to convey a very small message. But before that, I will have to provide you a perspective.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Hello, Moto.
You belong to a country, to a civilization which has been beleaguered, bled, dishonored, this thing for 1,000 years. We have suffered a lot. Our ancestors have suffered. Our pitras, as we call them, I do not know how much of the humiliation, deprivations, hardships they have undergone to keep the civilization alive, to keep this notion of the nation alive. Nation is different from a state. India as a nation had existed for millenniums. It may be a new state. Even when we got independence in 1947, our GDP was barely $20 billion. Less than 1.9% of what it is today. We had 80% population below the poverty line. And do you know, just a few years, or 2-3 years before the independence came, we suffered a famine in Bengal. It's a pity that nobody talks about it in India today. Do you know, as per the British records, how many people died in that starvation death, due to starvation death? There are 6,060,000 lakh people died. And there was nothing that was talked about it in the slave nation. That showed that the country's spirit had been enslaved to that extent that it became a non-event. Today, if there are 5 such deaths, the whole country will rise. The youth will say, you will find governments will fall. Deaths due to starvation because you could not eat. And therefore, 1 by 1, 60 lakh people died, as per the records. That is the thing that we came, and as Dr. Goenka said, we will be completing 100 years of our independence 22 years from now. You will be at the prime of your careers. You will be in your mid-40s or late 40s. You would have experience. You will have the knowledge. You would also have the personal stability, financial stability, family stability, social stability by that time, and still you will have many decades to contribute and work. What will be that India like? Let us visualize. Dr. Goenka said we'll have a GDP of 32 trillion as against probably 4.1 today. About 8 times of the present one. Our per capita income will be about $22,000